Try God. Have you seen the enormous sign on the inbound side of the Mass Pike? Simple and to the point. Try God. The sign makes God seem so accessible. When I was growing up, we would often travel to the city of Pittsburgh and back. On the way home to our suburban enclave in Monroeville, we would encounter huge capital letters towering over the highway, providing a tremendously high and wide announcement to every passerby. Jesus is coming soon. It was just part of the landscape of my hometown. A couple of years ago, following a Kabbalat Shabbat service in our sanctuary, a lovely young man approached Rabbi Friedman and me. He told us he had been sent to us to give us the gift of God. I was incredulous. Memories of that sign on the highway and lots of experiences like it flooded my mind. I was about to respond, but Rabbi Friedman gave the best reply. "No thanks," he said. "We're all set." And so we are. So what do you think I'm going to do on this day standing before you? I have no sign hidden under my talit. But I want to make a declaration with a question. It turns out there's a grammatical structure to assist me, called an interrobang. It is a question mark and an exclamation point together. It is a beautiful summary of the way Jews think, as one rabbi noted back in 1962 when that interrobang was first introduced. We affirm and doubt in the same breath. We know and don't know simultaneously. There is a God, but there is not a God. So where and what is God? You can see why Jews don't put signs up on the highway. There would be crashing cars everywhere. There is a God, but there is not a God. How could that be? We are a monotheistic religion, founded on the principle that all the disparate gods are really one God. There is no God of the sky or God of the sea or God of the underworld. Our ancestors, Abraham and Sarah, found one God uniting the universe and united by the universe. Our tradition teaches us that their tent was open from all four sides in order to receive all wayfarers from any direction. I think the image of the tent had another purpose as well. The path to this one God has many sides. There is a God, but there is not a God means within our own tradition, we may discover there are indeed many passageways leading to the divine. So whether you are an atheist, an agnostic, a theist, a deist, or even a nihilist, I want to speak with you. There is a new and old approach to seek and to understand the potential for connecting with this concept we call God. It has come out of my experience and honor of working on the committees responsible for the Reform Movement's prayer book, Mishkan Tefillah, which we use here, and now a new Machzor, Mishkan HaNefesh, which we piloted last night. If there is a God, where is God? The Hasidic master was asked by his students, "Where does God dwell?" The teacher responded, "Wherever you let God in." This rabbi adds, "If only it were that easy." Out of the depths I call to you, the 130th Psalm reveals. I had always thought it was we humans who exist in those depths. Abraham Joshua Heschel presented a different interpretation. The Hebrew remains the same. Mima'amakim karaticha Adonai, but switches the English translation around. I call you out of the depths. Instead of us in the depths, it is God who is there, hidden, mysterious, mystical, and formed with our words and our experience. But what words do we use? Even the word God is just a placeholder for an idea, the ineffable, the never-ending extension of our breath. No one really knows how to pronounce God's name, let alone to offer the exact description. We say Adonai, but that's not God's name, as written Yud-He-Vav-He. And those 4 letters, while they can all be consonants, are also vowels, which makes the word too difficult to pronounce or to invoke in prayer. They sound like the way we breathe, so we say God or Adonai instead. This makes for quite a conundrum. How might it be possible to search and struggle to find God when it is impossible even to say God's actual name? In the Torah, Moses, encountering a theophany, a manifestation of the divine in the form of the burning bush, wants to have piece, with multiple notes interplaying one on top of the other, separate and together. Dissonant notes and harmonious ones work together to make the whole piece. Why call it integrated, though? I came upon this idea because of my husband. His work learning about different medical modalities, from surgery to mindfulness meditation, gave me an understanding of how bringing together disparate treatments and worldviews can potentially work toward an enhanced and more person-centric, comprehensive care. 14 years ago, I joined the awful club of having cancer. In diagnostic purgatory, that time period between diagnosis and discovery of its extent of damage, I referred often to the words of Adon Olam, Biyado afkid ruchi, in God's hand I place my soul. I found comfort in the idea of a God I could wrest some control not just in my own hands. And now, as a member of the Cancer Survivor Club, God willing, I pray for the strength of each person who battles disease and illness regardless of its origins. And you can be sure, kayaking on the Charles, divinity surrounds me there. There are so many passageways to God. Our lives take many turns down a circuitous route. We are multifaceted, and if we are made in God's image, then God must be diverse and multifaceted too. The created is only a reflection of the Creator, and we, humans to the core, are filled with contradictions and longings which evolve over a lifetime. We want to believe, to have faith, to acknowledge from the depth of our souls there is more to this universe than an individual making his or her way through life. Many have confessed to me on more than one occasion how they don't believe in God. My job description has never involved confession. However, some of those confessions hint at a longing to be part of something greater than oneself. I respond back, which God don't you believe in? There is a God, but there is not a God. The image of the hierarchical, omnipresent, omnipotent God is but one way to reach and to consider the divine. Through this concept of integrated theology offered by our new prayer books and our tradition as a whole, we can find alternate paths, individual paths. Isn't it possible that we seek a sense of closeness to something greater than we are? Don't we want to transcend the limits of our humanity to find meaning in the sacred task of living? Integrated theology recognizes how finding God comes from the individual's ability to respond to the language and ideas presented by our sacred text. Like iTunes, iPhone, iMessages, we live in a world where each person holds the resource to make choices, decisions, and actions for him or herself. We no longer live in a time when the doctor dictates all aspects of treatment. Patient, or better yet, person-centered care is the guiding principle. So too, the individual holds possible access points to the divine in his or her hand in the form of a prayer book, as a personal search and struggle within the context of the entire community. The prayer right in the middle of the service is called a vote. We praise the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, the God of Sarah, the God of Rebekah, the God of Rachel, the God of Leah. The Midrash asks why the prayer doesn't say God of all the ancestors together. Why this structure? Our tradition teaches through these forebears. Each one of them individually had to find his or her own relationship and connection with God while being part of the line of collective tradition. And the text is clear. This challenge is dynamic and ongoing and often a struggle. We are the next generation who inherits this struggle. Don't just try God, wrestle. There is a God, but there is not a God. May each of us find blessing on our path toward the divine, and may that path take us through and with our community to places of wholeness, understanding, and peace. Ken Yehi Ratzon.